What's up, guys? Welcome to Double Jump. Tonight we're going to be talking Ready Player One. Woo, we cannot wait. I'm Leo.
I'm Stu.
And guys, let's dive right in. So Stu, just tell me a little bit about what you thought about the movie.
I hate to do this because I love Steven Spielberg. I love video games. I love Ernest Cline. I love the book Ready Player One. I did not love this movie. For so many reasons. But let me start with the good.
Okay.
I will say, Steven Spielberg and his team of CGI wizards made a visually amazing movie.
I mean,
The Oasis was so cool. I wanted to go there every day. The characters looked great. I was a little worried to see Parzival, the main character, all CGI all the time. It all turned out great. It did a nice job of feeling like you were in a video game while still feeling modern enough and current enough that it could stand up without the CGI.
not to mention Parzival's character is way different in the book. I mean, he's more of like a buff version of Wade Watts, who is the character outside the Oasis.
Yes.
But he looked awesome.
He
did.
I
was like, wow, he looks like straight out of Final Fantasy.
That's what my
to
thought was too,
I was like, wow, I feel like I'm playing Final Fantasy X.
Definitely a cloud, a little bit of a cloud reference there.
Yeah.
The hair, like no way that wasn't intentional.
And just the whole environment was visually incredibly pleasing.
Oh, totally.
The scene with the race at the beginning
was pretty awesome, I have to say. But well, I don't want to get into the problems with it too
We'll get to
quick.
cons soon.
We'll get there. I will say the score was pretty amazing too.
Absolutely.
Technically, this movie, from a technical standpoint, the costumes were great, production design was great, all that stuff was really cool.
And you know what was
sorry,
awesome? It didn't feel like too much CG. So you get kind of a little bit of CGI overload in some of these movies where it's like, okay, that might be a little too much. Like if Tomb Raider, for say, were to add this much CGI, it would maybe feel like a little too much.
Agreed.
But here it was the perfect example of how much you should put in a movie.
And yeah,
like this.
They're in a video game environment. There's a reason for them to be CGI, and it's like there's a justification for this. So really loved how the movie looked. Past that, honestly, Leo, I really can't get behind it.
No.
And part of this really stems from the love that I have for the book. Not that it's going to win a Pulitzer, but rather that it's just an enjoyable beach read.
Yeah, and speaking of the book, I mean, the book was awesome and immersed you in the Oasis so heavily and emphasized so much about how the Oasis is like almost the government. I mean, it's like you go to the Oasis for shopping, you go to the Oasis to cash your check, you go to the Oasis to eat, to sometimes to sleep.
That's right.
To go to school.
There was a really interesting stake behind every action that was going on in the book, where it seemed like not the future of the Oasis, but the future of humanity was at stake.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that the movie really failed on. They never told us why the Oasis mattered. They didn't tell us that the entire world economy is based off the Oasis. They didn't tell us that all transactions are done there. Government, everybody lives in the Oasis. The real world is secondary.
And even on like a much smaller scale, they didn't tell us about the Oasis's leveling system. They didn't develop any characters really that are strong in the Oasis. I mean, we had our main cast, but
past that,
you don't know anyone else, and you don't know the player base. You don't get to know any of these cool pop culture references that are coming out. They're just an appearance.
And honestly, other than the race and fighting each other on Doom World, you don't know what people are actually doing in Oasis.
Right.
They don't ever talk about any other challenges. And how do you get coins in the first place? How do you even start a character? Where does a character start from? The book had a really interesting Harry Potter vibe, where it was like, this is a guy coming from nothing, and he actually has to progress through these steps to become something.
Yeah.
The movie just kind of started him as an incredible video game player and ended as him as an incredible video game player.
And speaking of, Wade as a character, This was one of the biggest misses of the whole movie was character development.
Honestly,
I didn't see a reason why I could really care about these characters.
Right.
You've got this main cast of Wade, Artemis, H. You've got these great personalities, but I don't see any backstory.
actors, too.
Yeah, great
Good
actors. But I don't see any good backstory. No. I don't get a good explanation of why Wade is trying to save the Oasis.
Right.
I mean, we're just kind of, all these characters were thrown into the middle of their lives, and
100%.
we don't get any development.
And look, I don't think this is Steven Spielberg. I don't think this is his fault. I put it firmly at Zach Penn's hand. He took the original screenplay from Ernest Cline, who wrote the novel, and as he's done with many other movies, X-Men 3, he ruins it. He tries to put too much into a 2.5-hour, like tight time slot. We could have had 2 movies out of this.
Absolutely.
Easily, and I would have been the first one to sign up for it. But what he decided to do instead was rush things through, give no backstory, no motivation, no stakes, no depth. He didn't even. These are sorry guys, full spoiler alert here. Just if you don't want to know, just get out. In the book, 2 of the 5 friends die, and they don't even touch on that. There's no one's in any real danger. Sorrento's a joke of a villain. Like, why does he want this? To put ads, to make a little extra money.
And that was his whole spiel.
Doesn't even make sense.
And it doesn't make sense, especially because the Oasis is so scaled down in this movie.
Right.
It's almost like just stepping into a PSVR.
Totally.
So it's like, okay, why as a viewer would I really care if this guy just wants to put ads all over the place?
Right.
Wow, I'm seeing one payment, due for Burger King, whatever. That is not a villainous motive for me.
No, and I kind of understand that they maybe were trying to bridge the gap between like world domination and corporate kind of. It's a very now theme. Like,
yeah,
that makes
very
a lot
much.
of sense.
Very much.
Corporate like trying to take over the world and inundate us with ads and take our data and all that. I just didn't feel the threat.
No.
Like, how was this actually going to affect Wade Wilson's day-to-day life if he did not win this tournament?
And they've got the control centers, which kind of adds a little bit more villainy to it, but it's so typical that you don't even really remember it.
Yeah, and to branch out a little bit from just the characters, there's also massive, not plot holes exactly, but big things where you're like, why did you even bother? The Resistance, for example.
Oh, man.
We come in and Artemis is talking about the Resistance. There's a guy with a noticeable tattoo whose sole purpose of being in this movie is to blow it when he's shopping for carrots.
And as we know,
get recognized by drones that everybody's there. Are these Resistance fighters stupid? And what are they resisting?
What are they? I was just about to ask, what is the Resistance? Dude,
I don't know.
We get this one scene with the Resistance and how it seems
But
so
Leo,
important.
They're in a really cool warehouse.
Really
and
cool
in
warehouse.
tents.
And let me tell you, they're under Artemis's lead. So
is she, or is she just one of the?
There's not even an explanation.
I don't know.
Not even to mention that you've got this Resistance that seems so important. You've got, like you said, they're in a warehouse. They're in a kind of a shack. There's no explanation behind that.
And then they're busted 5 minutes later.
The one explanation we get is that Artemis's dad was unfortunately maybe murdered by the IOI.
Well, so he gets put into one of their loyalty centers, where actually sounds a lot like the cash advance centers here in our modern time, where they will loan you out gear so you can pay off your debt. But obviously the gear costs money, you aren't able to pay your debt off fast enough, the interest accrues, and you die penniless and in poverty.
Boy, it sounds like college.
Right? But it's, they didn't really show how bad that could be. It was brief, they barely touch on it, I don't know. I wasn't buying it.
There was no stakes here.
Right.
There was no, in the book you had, this is life. The Oasis being taken over by the IOI. You will lose everything.
Life.
You will lose your character. You will lose all your money. You will lose your avatar, your progress.
Totally.
You'll lose your life. But we don't get that here.
Moving on slightly to something that I thought they did really well, which was a 3-minute segment at the very end of the movie. Again, spoilers. Spoilers.
We can't emphasize
It can't be more clear. Iron Giant versus Mechagodzilla versus Gundam.
The trifecta of amazingness.
That was amazing. But I wanted a lot more of it.
And
was I greedy or?
Not at all, because where they went right was The Shining. That
You're
whole
right.
montage, there's
Yeah.
one piece of the movie where they go to The Shining, and it's a complete montage of the film.
Agreed.
You've got the twins, you've got the elevator, you've got the blood even.
You got the woman in
You've got the
237.
woman, in 237. But we got that whole 10-minute montage, and then we don't get anything else.
And the final fight scene was, the final
maybe
battle
a
was
couple minutes.
maybe, yeah, the big boss fight was 3 minutes.
And there's no explanation as to how he got Mechagodzilla,
Right.
why he's using Mechagodzilla. There's no leveling difference.
No.
I feel like a Gundam and
Mechagodzilla, it's a pretty
would be
even
an
match.
even match.
The Power Sword,
and
man.
Iron Giant on your side. I mean,
Hey.
I don't know. I couldn't justify the level differences.
No, I couldn't either. And honestly, it's one of those things that, again, they were trying to hit the nostalgia factor, which with Mechagodzilla, Iron Giant, Gundam, you're hitting some really
Major ones.
major nostalgia. And it's cool.
We even get like Marvin the Martian.
That's,
we get
yeah.
great
There was
cameos.
a great Space Marine cameo.
yeah,
all
yeah,
this.
we get everything. But
The origin, the book, and I hate to keep harping on the book because I hate to be this kind of person, but the book was rooted in 80s nostalgia. And the reason is because in 2045, the year this movie takes place, it is an obscure and weird thing. It'd be like me saying, oh, I'm a huge fan of 20s pop culture.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's
nobody-
obscure. It's way throwback before even our time.
So if people are trying to research and get these mysteries, 80s pop culture is essential to these mysteries. You see very, 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 very little 80s cultural reference.
And-
There's the Buckaroo Banzai, which was cool. There's a little bit of musical cues, which was
Which
fine.
is nice,
the
but
DeLorean, I guess.
you don't really get too much beside that. You don't
No.
get Pac-Man, you don't get any retro video games.
Seriously,
and the
until
fact
the
that
very end.
we only see this when we're talking about Halliday is like,
Yeah.
come on. And Halliday didn't even himself really talk too much about the references besides The Shining.
That's right.
And the 2600.
Yeah, it was.
And
it
the
was,
2600 is from the 70s.
That's right. And this is kind of, it all felt like, they were trying to do this fan service nostalgia, but they were too afraid to hit the actual core of what the book touched on.
Heart and soul of characters
Yes.
being built across an entire book.
That's
and
right.
that was the best thing. I mean, I'm like, I want to see Wade Watts get better and better and grow more and more throughout the movie.
Right.
Didn't see even an ounce of that. I mean, even if I got just a level up or some
Something.
kind of training
They
sequence
didn't
where we
have-
see how
Leo,
he gets
they
better.
didn't have a training montage.
At all.
And I think South Park told us the best, every movie needs a montage. And this literally had no montage where he was leveling up and getting better. That's, honestly, if that was in the movie, a lot of other things get forgiven really quick.
And not even to mention the challenge. And shout out to Red Letter Media. I saw their video today. They referenced the Danny Phantom episode where it was like
that's a
collecting 12 keys
crazy
in the whole
reference.
episode. I'm like, holy crap, that's the exact same story as Ready Player One.
it was.
Collect 3 keys.
And
Simple challenges, by the way.
Yeah.
Get the 3 keys and get to the end.
That is another thing with the challenges. They didn't seem hard.
They're not.
They're not hard at
weren't.
all. The final challenge with the dot in the dark room, that's a pretty well-known
Video
gamer
game
Easter
egg, yeah.
And to call the whole thing an Easter egg, whatever.
The most simple Easter egg
sorry.
is in the game.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's. But
to wrap it up, I know we've talked a lot of negative, a couple positive, few. Would you recommend this movie?
I would recommend this movie to people who possibly haven't read the book, or people who
point.
are starting the book and maybe haven't dived too deep into it.
That is a good point.
Because as a book reader, I didn't like all the stuff that I missed from the book, the Oasis. I didn't like the lack of character development. But as somebody who hasn't read the book, you're gonna enjoy the fun, the nostalgia, and the visual effects
Yeah, 100%.
in the film.
And I'll say, I agree with you on, if you haven't read the book, you're going to enjoy it more than if you have.
Absolutely. What would you recommend it to?
I would recommend this strictly to kids and their families. This went very family-centric. The visuals are great. There's not a lot of violence. They explicitly take out any blood or gore, and they do a little throwaway line in the movie, but it's to make it ratings appropriate. I think if you're, 7 to 12, I might be a little off on that age range.
I think that's perfect.
But like that with the parents, I think it's a great family movie. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. Like you said, visually arresting. It's beautiful. But if you're looking for something with real depth and really to dive into chewy characters, like a Harry Potter,
Right, this
where,
isn't-
where you're expecting a span of 7 or 8 movies, it's not that movie. It's not going to be that movie.
Maybe they could have went right by splitting it up into 2 or 3, but
The titles
never
oh,
know.
there and
Ready
to go.
Player
Ready
2.
Player
Ready
2.
Player 3.
Anyway, look, it's about a 6 out of 10 for me. I know it's a lot of hate.
You're gracious. I gave it a 5.
That's fair. I mean, 5 is not an unfair score either.
No, man.
But a lot of people are loving it. So I say kids, families, great. If you're a hardcore gamer, maybe wait for it to come out on Netflix or whatever.
Yeah, PlayStation.
Although, one quick note, if you do go see it, you have to see it in 3D.
You have to, because the visual effects are
That's
so beautiful and jarring.
I will
you
say
gotta
that.
see it in 3D.
Yeah.
But guys, let us know what you thought. Have you seen Ready Player One? Drop us a line in the comments.
Let us know.
See you later.